and we will get started with a couple of administrative matters. First of all, I want to make sure that we are clear in that all participants are providing their personal opinions tonight. They are not speaking on behalf of U.S. Soccer for any state referee committee. This discussion should not be considered training, and we are just here to relax and kick some topics around. The focus tonight is talking about being the newcomer or breaking into new competition levels and talking about the challenges that are associated with that. The speakers that we have with us tonight include Shak Hill, Kevin Nicholson, hopefully, Caleb Perry, and Jeremy Zehr. We're going to be talking about the following topics: what it's like to be the new referee on the block, veteran referee on the block, a view from Assignerland, and we'll conclude with some questions and answers. I should note also that we are recording tonight, and if you have any issues with being part of the recording, I would ask that you please exit. So, a brief highlight about some of the perspectives that each of us is bringing to the call. We have Shak Hill, who is a current USSF referee mentor and also a former MLS official. Kevin Nicholson, who hopefully can join us. He is the West Virginia State Director of Assignment and the USSF referee coach. Caleb Perry, who is our USSF National Referee candidate from West Virginia and is also a NYSOA referee. Jeremy Zehr, who is a USSF assigner out of Maryland, a certified USSF referee mentor and an NYSOA referee. And I am an assigner. And that is all. So we're going to start out the discussion tonight of what it's like to be the new referee on the block. And for that, we'll turn this over to Jeremy Zehr from Maryland.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining tonight. I wanted to talk a little bit about being the newcomer on the block. If anyone else wants to jump in and talk about their experiences, please feel free. We'll be monitoring the chat too, so if you like, you can put any questions in there. So when you're going, so this isn't aimed at a referee that just started. We have courses for that. We have a lot. This is when you're trying to go up a level, do something different. One of the things that sometimes you don't have to do at the lower levels, even though you should, is you have to prep a lot more. There's a lot more going into having the game, getting the game, and knowing who's going to be at the game. With the new competition, the new division, you got to prepare a lot more. So that's one thing that sometimes isn't always thought of. If you're showing up just to do rec games, it matters who's there, but it also doesn't. When you're starting to do the higher level competitions, those teams have a track record. Those referees know who they are. So when we talk about preparing, what does that mean? That means that you can look up their records. You might be able to ask other referees who are, especially those who are on your crew, what, like if they've seen the teams before. And we're talking your first couple times going into games. I still check almost any time that I know where there are games to be prepared. The other thing, new teams, new venue. The venue can be different. It might be a stadium. There might be actual more people there than just a few parents. There might be actual fans coming to see the teams. So you have to kind of know how to prepare and what to prepare for. Again, you have resources that you can do to prepare. I'm not above looking at a Google map to see what kind of venue it's going to be, because sometimes it says stadium and it's not a stadium. Sometimes it'll say field and there's a long way to get there, or there's a lot of stands there. So they have the possibilities of a stadium. And then one other thing to think about, remember why you're at the game. Um, just because you got a higher level game, you're there to serve it. You're there to be the arbiter of the game, and you're there because somebody thought you should be there. Usually, an assigner. And one thing I tell every referee is that assigners and refs, they talk a little bit more than your grandma does. So there's reasons you're at the game. So next slide, Jesse. Some of the things to think about when you're going there. Every time that you're on the field, you're part of a team. Uh, again, first bullet point under the thing is prepare. So you want to contact your teammates. Um, you want to find out, like, they should respond however they want to. One way is to contact via text, via just pick up the phone and call, email, anywhere. I love it when new referees contact me when I'm on a game. It shows that they are being respectful, that they're being prepared. They know when they're going to be there. And then they say other things like it. It seems to be something that's happening more and more, even at the same, even at the lower level games sometimes that I get to do. So contact your teammates beforehand. It's good practice. It's always good practice. So, the other thing sometimes gets lost is to just always be positive. Be positive and be respectful to your teammates, the people that you're going to. Assigners won't put new league referees with people who haven't done it before. Usually, I mean, you got to go with availability, but no matter what, though, as long as you show the respect to the other members of your team, they'll show it right back. One thing that's always hard, I grew up in the Midwest in the 90s. If you showed enthusiasm for anything, it was weakness. I've learned over the years that is not true. You have to be enthusiastic, especially to be a referee out there. As long as you show enthusiasm, you can't be the one that brings a game down. So always be enthusiastic and control what you can control. You can get worried about if teams are late. You can get worried about some of the field conditions, but control what you can control. It's got to remember that. If the nets are ripped up, you might have some control over that. You can, we say don't have the solution, it's up to the teams, but I always have zip ties. That's one thing that always helps me, but control what you can control. And remember why you're there. Again, someone thinks that you should be at the game. So you show all those positive traits, be enthusiastic. Those are recipes for success at any level, but especially as you're trying something new. Remember, it's a learning experience. Next slide. I think that's it. Oh, yeah, there we go. Preparation. Showing off there, right? Professionalism. Know what professionalism is. You be respectful, positive, enthusiastic, and that goes more than 100%. We're aiming this at maybe younger referees. So one thing is know how to get to the field. You might be traveling a little bit further than you have in the past. So, and this is coming at you from the DC area. So be realistic. Like, if you think it takes 20 minutes on the best of day to get to where you're going, give yourself 30. It's stressful enough. Being a ref is stressful enough. Don't add to it by having time issues. Contact your assigner. Know the rules of the competition. That's said to everyone. That's always helpful. That's one of the best things of in being prepared. Know if there's any differences. That's part of contacting your teammates as well. So you can also research the teams. If they have the availability, you can do a deep dive, or you can just get some tangential knowledge if that's something that helps you. Some refs I know don't want to know. So, but when you're going in, research the teams, especially if it's you're the newcomer. Know what they are. And if I'm nervous, that means I care. That's how I always look at it. And what can I do to not be nervous or be able to use that? You improve your reactions. So those are.
Thanks, Jeremy. I want to make sure that we're also able to welcome Jack Devlich, our State Director of Instruction. Jack, do you have anything to add here? Okay, great. We'll move on. So our next discussion, we're going to be talking about the perspective of what it means to be the veteran referee on the block, and you've got a newcomer on your crew. We are pleased to turn this over to Caleb Perry from West Virginia and Shak Hill from Virginia. Gentlemen.
Hello, everybody. So I don't think Shaq's in here yet. So we'll go until he comes in. So here it says, be the best team. Actually, I'll talk about myself here real quick. I know Jesse introduced me as a national referee candidate. I am going assistant referee. So this first phrase here is really important to me, of assisting, not insisting. And I can tell you, I've learned a lot of important lessons about that phrase in my journey. Always remember that the journey is never really over. You're always working each game to become better. And that's where you move from the newcomer to the veteran. Even in my journey right now, I get to see both sides of this same coin. Work a game in one league where you've got new people and you're the one that's been working on it for years. And then the next week you've got a game in a league that you've never worked before and you're the newcomer. So it's really important to be able to learn all of these soft skills in people management and how they work into the game itself, to see and make your presentation of yourself the best for you and for your team. So as a veteran, in those situations, you got to think back about what it was like for you getting into that new league, or into that new level of competition. You got to think back to that first time that you went to President's Cup, or that first time that you went to regionals, or the first time you had that adult game, and what that felt like. And then remember what that felt like. And remember, that's what your the new person on your crew is feeling like. And come alongside them and help build them up and set them up for success, so that they're not feeling overwhelmed, or as Jeremy talked there about the nervousness and caring, that their nervousness is in check, not so nervous that they can't focus on the task at hand. Take care of business. So everything that Jeremy just talked about with preparation from the veteran standpoint, you should already be doing. So taking care of business, all the prep work, checking the teams, their stats, win, loss, who's scoring the most goals, cards, if someone's been sent off multiple times, identifying your troublemakers early. And that can actually go a long way with the teams when you build that rapport early on. So taking care of the business stuff on the front end helps you to build that team-centric mindset, so that everybody is on the same page. The newcomer does not feel like the newcomer. They feel like one of the team. It really helps when you reach out directly to that newcomer and make them feel like they've been there forever, not like they're incapable or they're like a burden on you, but you make them feel like one of the team. Next slide, Jesse. So one of those, it's going to be a long game if, and we've all been there, the newcomer isn't prepared, isn't on time, overconfident. All of these things, again, goes back to what Jeremy talked about with preparation. So as a veteran, when we reach out and start talking with our crew before the game, because when does your assignment start? Your assignment actually starts once you accept the assignment. From that point is when you're starting to think about where's the game, who's playing, and doing all that prep work that was talked about. So sometimes that newcomer's not going to be prepared for that, the environment for that game. It's expected as the veteran that you are. And then you take that opportunity during your pregame to have that discussion with your crew about what's expected for the game. Is it, do you think it's going to be a really tight one? Do you have that troublemaker? What information have you gleaned from other officials? Is that bench a troublesome bench? They give everybody a hard time, all those kinds of things. And then in that pregame email, arranging a time to meet, prior to the game, or sometimes if you're close to the same area, carpooling, and that helps with everybody being on time. But that also opens the avenue for your newcomer to say, I've never been there before. Can you help me find out where should I park? How long does it take to get there? Is traffic bad? If you've been there before, it gives you that opportunity to help them out. And that, again, brings them alongside you and helps them to, again, feel part of the team. Now, the newcomer is overconfident. Sometimes this happens. And that's where personality conflicts can come in sometimes. So in my experience, personally, when you've got someone that's new and I'm going to speak at the referee standpoint. If I've got an AR that's new and they feel like they've got this, more than likely, during my pregame with that person, I'm going to have asked them, what's your experience? What things have you done? And if I feel that they can probably competently do the job, I'm going to let them go at it. But then if you notice during the game that they're swimming in the deep end, that they're not quite being where they need to be, that's when, as the referee on that game, you can squeeze in on their side, or if you've got a good relationship with the other assistant referee, you can have a word with them prior to the game that, look, I may squeeze in and help them out a little bit. I'll need you to expand a little bit and cover a little more ground with your foul recognition and selections. But that's another way that you can come alongside and bring them in as a teammate. Sometimes people who are overconfident, they have to have a humbling moment. And those can be great learning experiences if they are utilized properly. So as the veteran, in those situations, that is not a time to come in and I told you so. That's a time to come in and be open with them, ask them questions, not come in to say, hey, that was a little harder than you thought, wasn't it? That's a great time for you to come in and say, so how'd that first half go for you? How'd you feel? What was going on? And if they feel safe enough to open up and say, I was really struggling with that, that gives you that opportunity to, I use this phrase a lot because it's really important. It's important to come alongside and to help the newcomers come forward. Because if we don't help them, that's when they get burnt out and that's when they leave the game. And as we all know, we're all working too many games as it is. It's really, really important for us to keep the referees that we have, especially as we're moving up. So again, coming alongside, asking questions that instigate conversation. So say we're having this conversation at halftime and they're feeling like they're struggling, you know, again, from the referee to the AR standpoint, bring it back to simplicity. With your ARs, the three most important things in order is offside, touchline decisions, and then foul recognition. So bring it back and just say,
Hoe dat? Ik ben handig. Ja.
so let's bring it back and just simply say, all right, I want you to focus on offside. That's all I want you to focus on. Once you feel like you've caught up to pace and you're ready for that, then stretch out to the touchline decisions. And then when you feel good like that, then you can stretch back out to those. Until then, I'll come over and I'll squeeze in and I'll help you do what you need to do. I just did that recently with a newcomer on a USL2 match. And early on in the game, there was a foul just right in front of him that he didn't even see it. He told me that. I'm not assuming that he didn't see. He told me, I didn't even see it. You blew the whistle. I was like, oh. But by the second half, as he was working through, he was very comfortable. He was starting to expand his view on things, and he was getting a whole lot more comfortable. And he's going to continue to improve himself in that league. Personality conflicts. Sometimes with these situations, you got to remember, I'm here as a team. We're on the field. We've got to get through it. Been in a situation where there was some bickering between two of our officials on a game, specifically in the NPSL league. And it was halftime and things were really, really rough. There was some poor communication and the game was not going well for this referee. So what was stepping in and saying, hey, look, we're a team here. We have to get through this game. We're here for the duration. So remember, we are here to serve the game. We need to put our own personalities aside for a little bit. We need to work together to get the job done. We're here to serve the game. We're here for another 45 minutes. Let's do the work. Let's do the job. So as the veteran, what are you going to do about it? It's all about this preparation work. It's our job as the veteran to help find the blind spots that the newcomers may not be aware of. And again, fill them in, come alongside them, offer that support, help them to understand the full aspects of the job that's expected of them. Because the first time they come through, they're not going to understand all the tasks that are expected. You know, like Jeremy was talking about, checking out the team stats and all these things, and where the game is, how long it takes to get there, potential traffic things. It's your job as a veteran to work all that for them so that when they're not prepared, you are. And then teach them what you do so that they can be the veteran one day. This is very much a trade type of profession with essentially, you know, apprentices, journeymen, masters of the craft. So we need to be working toward that idea. And I like the all caps here at the end, no driving the bus over corpses. Again, when we do that, that's when we lose referees. And we all know we can't afford to lose any more referees. We don't need any of the statements that are saying you screwed this up, you aren't any good, you stink, none of this is beneficial as a veteran, as a newcomer, anywhere. We need referees, and we need referees to get better. And the way we get better is by working together collaboratively, asking questions, and helping each other to see where we can improve and working on those places to improve. And that's a huge job of the veteran official. Next slide.
Well, hold up, Caleb. We've also got Shak on the phone now. Shak, do you want to add anything?
Hey, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I apologize, but Caleb, you're absolutely correct, and I like the concept of that apprenticeship and how we go through different areas and different segments of our refereeing career. And I just want to share, the personality conflicts. That's a big one for me, because I know that in order to be a referee, just to go out there, to put the referee uniform on, to have studied and taken the test, we have to have a certain amount of self-confidence and certain amount of our own ability to handle this game. And that oftentimes can conflict when when we're dealing with two other people that have the same certain amount of confidence and see things maybe slightly different than we do. So for me, if I'm in the referee situation where I've got a whistle, or if I'm an AR and I've got a flag, I have to remember that even if I have a personality conflict where, you know, my ego is butting up against, you know, somebody else's ego, and I can say, you know, I've done a higher game or a better game than you've ever done or whatever, I still think it's important to remember what my role is for that particular game. So if I am on the line and an assistant referee, then my job is to assist the referee and not insist that I want the referee to make a particular call. So it's important for veteran officials who have and bring a lot more experience and insight to the game not to disparage somebody who's looking to move up and not to try to tear somebody else down, because I think back to your apprenticeship line, being a referee is one of the very few places that I've ever been in where we're trying to build each other up most of the time. We're trying to help each other get better most of the time. We're trying to find that next talent. And I find that to be a very rewarding opportunity, especially, and I'll end here, but especially if that person that I'm working with, and we're calling him a newcomer right now, but if that person I'm working with shows any enthusiasm or any desire to learn, or asks me as a veteran, you know, what did I see, or what could I do better? I mean, that type of simple question, I get excited about that, and I'm willing to mentor and help, just like Jesse is, who put this on, and Caleb, who's taken his time to help us out here. Is we want to improve and impart our knowledge to help newcomers and other officials get better. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you, Jesse.
Well, thanks, Shaq. Jack Deplish, do you have anything to add here? Okay. So the next topic, I don't know if Kevin has been able to join yet, but if so, great. If not, I am sure that he'll be cheerfully willing to answer any questions afterwards as we built the content of this section together. From the standpoint of working both with newcomers and veterans alike, I'd like to make sure that everyone understands, when is the assignment done? Never. As the assigner, I get to work with the newcomer. Some of them are new to the geographic area, some are new to that level of experience, some are trying something new, and I want to make sure that they have the right resources and know where to find things, rules, match reporting expectations, you know, the uniforms. Do we have locker rooms to work with? If I can, I want to make sure that if there's a capacity for introduction emails, I will make sure that that's possible. Because ultimately, every referee that I assign to a soccer match, they're the best representatives of the league and of our refereeing corps, no matter if it's the first game of the season or the final match of the season for that division. You know, and in the post-match reporting is a natural feedback loop. It is not simply just the official match report. I want to hear back from the newcomers. How did it go? Did it go well? Were there things that you struggled with that I can learn from as the assigner? Are the veterans on that crew welcoming? Are they really good at putting people at ease so that we can continue to grow the referee pool? And, you know, sometimes, all the time, there's an implicit question out there. Do we want the newcomer to return? And I'm going to say unequivocally, the answer is yes. Because the perfect game doesn't exist. And we're all continuously working on improving. And I'm much more interested in continuing to build the relationship that I have with the referees, as well as with other assigners, so that we're getting good outcomes for the players, we're getting good outcomes for the leagues, and well as developing our overall referee corps. Jeremy, anything to add here?
No, so I just agree with what you said. You always want the newcomer to come back. As the assigner, you'd want them to have the best experience possible for them, and you want them to come be there to referee the next game. So you're, as the assigner, you're going to do everything you can, including putting referees you know that will provide that apprenticeship that Caleb talked about. And going back to as the role of the newcomer, knowing that going in is helpful. Shaq talked about showing enthusiasm. That was something I talked about. Assigners, everyone I know has an enthusiasm for referees that want to learn, that want to get better. So everything that Jesse said, Shaq and Caleb have said, it's absolutely true. So we have to always remember to take all of that to heart. So thanks, Jesse.
And the answer that I'm posing to this question, when the assignment opens new worlds or doesn't work, it really isn't binary. Now, how we respond to how that match worked, that is 100% binary. And what I mean by that is being open and listening to concerns. And that's true if it's a newcomer on the referee, the veterans on the crew. I want to hear and be receptive to information wherever I can get it about how the match went. Sometimes I'll hear from the leagues. Sometimes I'll hear from the referees. Hey, the game I was in a little bit over my head, but I liked the experience. Maybe instead of being the center referee, next time I could be the AR. Or I was the AR this time. I feel really comfortable with that league, and I want to go try and see what it looks like as a center. Or the pace of the game was really, really fast, and I felt like it was a good test, and I want more of that. Whatever the reaction is, I can work with that. And I want to work with that because nobody's going out there to be bored. You're taking time away from your family. Sometimes you're taking time away from work. And I want to make sure that that experience is as rewarding as possible. There may be some situations where the referee's perception of how things work or how things went at that match don't match other stakeholders, and that means other crew, players, etc. And we'll try to figure out and reconcile where there's a variance. But I need to have that information in order to find a solution going forward so that everybody continues to enjoy being a soccer referee, one way or the other.
Hey, Jesse.
Yes, Shaq, go ahead.
Hey, Shak here, everybody. Let me jump in on what Jesse has just said, because it took me quite a while to understand the reality of the comment that Jesse just made. So what did he just say? He needs to hear the feedback. Was this game challenging for you? Did you think it was fast paced? Were you bored? Did you want to step back from being the referee, maybe join on the line, or did you want to go from the line and take a jump into the whistle for this particular league? It is critical that you have a good communication with your assigner, and it's critical that you're candid with your assigner. There is no assigner in the world that's going to belittle you or is going to say something like, well, you should be better by now, or you can handle this game. I don't know what you're thinking, and put you down. But every assigner wants to plug you in at the exact level where you're comfortable. And I would dare say most assigners want to they want to push you a little bit. They want to expand you. They want to make you better. They want to give you an assignment that they feel like you're ready for. But if you don't feel like you're ready and you don't have that confidence, or if you need me to come out and watch you, or something, you've got to speak up, because the worst thing we can do as a referee community is put a new official in a circumstance that's going to hurt them, hurt the game, and everybody's not going to be in an enjoyment environment because the referee maybe lost control, didn't have a strong match that game, something along those. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to put you in there and see you fail. On the contrast, it's just the exact opposite. So if you feel like you've had a couple of games in a row that didn't go as strongly as you want, contact the assigner. Say, hey, look, help me out. Can you come out? Can you send somebody out? Can you put a strong AR on the line with me next time so that maybe I can get some feedback? Something's not clicking. But that relationship that Jesse's talking about, it's not a student principal relationship. It's not even a student teacher relationship per se. It's really more about a peer apprenticeship relationship that Caleb talked about earlier. But if you don't mention anything, and hey, how's it going? Oh, it's good. Hey, how was the game last week? No, it's fine. Anything you're working on? No. Then you're not helping yourself, and truly, you're not helping the referee community at writ large, but you're not letting us help you as well. Last thing I'll say on this particular topic is I was getting frustrated in my career, and somebody said, look, Shaq, it's better if you go up to the next league, the next higher assigning a little bit late than it is if you go up early. Because if you go up too early to a league or a competition that you're not necessarily ready for and you're not prepared for, and it's going to be a negative relationship between you and the game and the players, it's better not to push too fast, too quickly, too far. It's better to wait and then go a season later or something along those lines. So, but you got to speak up. You got to talk to your assigner. You've got to make sure that you've got great communication with them. Ask other officials what their thought process is on how you did and convey that back to the assigner. That relationship is critical. So thank you.
Thanks, Shaq. Kevin, are you able to join yet? Okay. Jeremy, anything from you here, sir?
I wanted to echo what Shaq said. Sometimes it's better to go up and be more prepared than it is to push yourself and leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth. I know there's a couple older guys on the call too. If you're challenging yourself, remember that too. Kids may get an extra chance because youth is youth. Some people have the benefit of youth, but but it's everything. I enjoy working with everyone of all ages and people who are excited to be out there reffing and show enthusiasm. And I'll echo the same thing that you said. You want the feedback. Assigners want the feedback and the honest feedback because they want to help. So, yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, JZ. Caleb, anything from you, sir?
I do very little assigning, but I definitely like the feedback because I have a very small pool of officials for my high school board. So I am all about taking the feedback that I get from the relationships I have with coaches and with the veteran officials on those games to take the newer officials and stretch them. So definitely love the feedback aspect of that because it helps to develop officials in a good, safe environment.
Thank you, Caleb. And with that, I will turn this over for Q&A. And I will leave up contact information for everybody on the call while we're fielding questions. And who has a question?
Jesse, Kofi, I get a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I don't know like what I want to do is like this outcome. Because I live in West Virginia, we don't have that much games in here, right? So we have to travel to you guys to get games and stuff like that. My question is like I really want to grow, I want to do better. I still know I have to work on a certain areas I need to improve. I get Caleb here helping me a lot, Kevin helping me, other mentors. I get I can't even talk about some few people here like I talk to, even Jack and Justin here helping me. My question to move up to next level though, to do like to get like games like Dallas Cup and stuff like that. Is there any way like any advice you can give it to me to get to that level?
My best advice, and obviously I'm not the only one, is to tap your mentor network, tap your crew network. Everyone that you come across should be somebody that you can ask that question to and say, what is the differentiator between where I am and where I want to be? And that's not just limited to getting to national level. I mean, Caleb right now is going through the national candidate process, and his information is probably as good as it gets. So, Caleb, do you want to speak to this?
Sure. I know for me, it as you're working in your designated track, you're working on the details and finalizing the details. It's important to keep in close contact with your mentor. All that stuff that we were talking about with the assigners and the feedback, that stuff should also be shared with your mentor. Like, hey, I had this game the other day, didn't go so hot. I had this one call, I wasn't sure, and if you can get video of that kind of stuff, that's going to be more beneficial, because we've all been in that situation where we explain what we saw and it leaves vague options open for that particular call without actually having seen the call itself and seeing the situation itself. So get video of things like that and keep that pathway open of communication with your mentor. And then as far as things like Dallas Cup, and we were just seeing ECNL Nationals going on, and all of those, talk to your mentors with that, because a lot of times they're traveling to those and they're going to have a point of contact and they'll be able to get you into those. And then if they don't necessarily think that you're ready for it, they might say you need to wait right now and really work on this aspect of your game, and then you'll be ready for it. Because again, something like Dallas Cup, it's 10 days and you're going to be working a lot of games. It's going to be really important that when you go as an individual to one of those things, that the very limited opportunities you'll have in an environment like that to be seen, they are memorable for the right reasons and not the wrong reasons. Because in a national, or in that case, an international tournament like that, it's very important to leave a good taste in the mouths of the assigners, because when you come back, you want them to want you to come back. And if you aren't doing the necessary work, then they're not going to want you back. So boil it down to keep an open contact pathway with your mentors. Be always working on an aspect of your game to get better. And when you find these tournaments that you want to go to, bring it up to your mentors, and either they'll have a point of contact or they'll probably know someone who has a point of contact with that particular event that you want to go to, and they can probably get you going that direction if you're ready.
Thanks, Caleb. Shaq, do you have anything on this point?
Yeah, actually, I do. There's only one referee in your pictures that you have that here on your slide deck. It's the one that has my name and Kerry's name, and he actually went to the Dallas Cup, I think, last year. But I can't recall the name of the gentleman from West Virginia who said, but here's the number one thing I would work on is everything you can do on ground speed 0. Now, what do I mean by that? Things that you can do that are not part of the game. So your fitness. I mean, your fitness has to be at the top flight. When I was at the Dallas Cup and I officiated there, lots of games, it's very tiring. You want to be at your peak every game. So before you even get there, your fitness has to be just top flight. The rules, laws of the game. You got to really know those tricky kind of nuanced situations, any new law changes. So I'm not sure what you're doing with regard to quizzing each other. I don't know if you're joining any kind of, law forum, but start looking at questions and circumstances and what happens when this happens, because if it happens to you, you don't want to have seen that the first time live and as it's occurring. You want to have already contemplated that beforehand. And so ground speed 0, you've got to accomplish those things along those lines. The other thing, I mean, if you have the opportunity, go to the tournament. Kind of be a spectator. I don't know how they, and Caleb, you jump in, you're more, I mean, I've already been through my national time. I was already an international candidate, so I can't speak to today's refereeing community. I'm currently going to the ECNL tournaments, but go there. Volunteer to be an AR in any game anywhere. Don't go there and expect to referee unless you were invited. But here's something that I did. You never really think. I tell you what, I volunteered to be the driver at the Dallas Cup between the hotel and the airport. Now, wait a minute, I'm a referee. At that time, I was a state referee, working my way to national. I was a pilot in the United States Air Force. I mean, and yet I volunteered to be a driver. But who did I pick up? I picked up all of the FIFA referees that came to the Dallas Cup that year. I picked up all the international referees that came. I picked up all the national sessions. And I had a 35-minute conversation with each one-on-one. So when I saw them during the tournament, it was, hey, Julio, how you doing? Hey, George, Jorge, how you doing? And I actually kind of knew some of these guys just because I volunteered. And it's an interesting way. But that's kind of a trick. But for purposes of our class today, totally take care of ground speed 0. Make sure that your signals, your posture, make sure your decision making, your positioning, where you position yourself on a corner kick, where do you position yourself on a goal kick, where do you position yourself on a free kick that's on the 19, those type of things. Look at the Premier League. If you didn't watch any of the Gold Cup, go back to the YouTube. Take a look at the Gold Cup that Mexico just won. If you're not watching these games, you don't have to watch the whole game, but if you're not watching them, you're not taking care of things at ground speed 0. So my biggest advice is, if you take care of it at ground speed 0, when you get that opportunity, you'll be ready.
Thanks, Chuck. Other questions? Well, Kofi, did we give you an answer?
Yeah, thank you, Jesse and Shaq, and thank all of you so much for the feedback you guys give it to me. That means a lot to me, and that's exactly what I was looking for. So I appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you so much.
You're always welcome, sir. Other questions that we can answer from anyone? No topic is off limits. All right, fine. I want to make sure that I'm getting to say thank you to all of our panel participants tonight for giving so generously of their time. They include Jeremy Zehr, Caleb Perry, Shak Hill, Kevin Nicholson, as well as each of our other participants tonight for taking time out of your very, very busy schedule to talk about a very dry topic, but it's one that's important because, from my perspective, there's no such thing as having perfect information. It just does not exist. And so all we can do is to do our best, and that applies on the field and off. We don't have any more Zoom scheduled for this summer, but if there's a pressing topic that you would like us to put on the calendar to address, I am happy to solicit that input as well. And then finally, if you're in the DC metro area now or in the near future, we've got tournaments coming up at the end of the summer with the Copa Rayados East Coast, as well as the VDA Super Cup. And believe it or not, fall league play starts in 3 weeks. So with that, I'm going to say thank you very much to all of you. And I hope you have a great evening. And I'm looking forward to working with you each soon. Thank you so much.